Hey, how's it going? And welcome to another episode of The Movie Wire. Today we're going to talk about Judas and the Black Messiah. I really love this movie as Daniel Kaluuya portrayed Fred Hampton as an activist, as the representative of the Chicago chapter of the Black Panthers. I was very impressed with this movie for many reasons, but it really displayed the raw, gritty side of the movement, how it was I appreciate the fact that, first of all, the movie displayed the fact that these were not just people who were always militant, wearing leather, wearing berets, always mad, always carrying guns, waiting to kill the white man. I appreciate the fact that the Black Panthers, that they displayed them as a caring community of people who wanted to take care of their own race. And whenever we try to do that, then the government gets a little intimidated, the government gets a little fearful, and labels us, or labels the Black Panthers as terrorists. And that's what the movie pretty much portrayed. And we're watching this through the eyes of William O'Neill, who is a plant and who is an informant in the Black Panthers, who's being used by the FBI to extract information and pretty much dismember and dismantle the organization in Chicago. Now, for the most part, like I said, they did a fabulous job of illustrating the struggle, of illustrating the roughness and the hard times of not just the Black lower class, but the lower class in many different races in the movie. That's the thing too. Fred Hampton, he wanted to unite all races together who were all going through rough times and being harassed by the police. There were Latinos, there was the Patriots, there were Caucasian people that he wanted to unite with and he wanted to work with. And there were even other gangs, that he wanted to work with. So, I love how the movie has layers of the kinds of things that the Black Panthers wanted to do, and that they were independent people, but they wanted to depend on other people who shared the same similar struggles. So what I appreciate, like I said, is that we really got to look into the life of Fred Hampton and the things that he went through when he was arrested, going to jail, and the different people who were involved in the movement and their lives. These were not people who were just one-dimensional. Like I said, these were not people who were just militant, gun-carrying people. These people were working for a cause, and like I said, the movie is pretty much like a war between the police and the Black Panthers throughout the whole movie. I appreciate how the movie illustrated that this was a struggle throughout the entire time. Whenever they were trying to do something, the police always tried to dismantle them or infiltrate the operations. And the Black Panthers wanted to take care of their own people. They wanted to have food for kids. They wanted to set up hospitals. They wanted to have health care. They wanted to help people find jobs and have businesses. They wanted to run their own economy, or even run their own Wakanda for the most part. But, that's what happens whenever we're trying to take care of ourselves. The government wants to step in and squash that. I don't mean to go there, but it is what it is. And, for the most part, the movie illustrates how they will use one of us to dismantle us. They will use one of us like they did with Anthony O'Neill, and William O'Neill, and they use him as an informant to dismantle the Black Panthers. And he gets in there, he's in way deep, and he himself is conflicted himself. This is a real life person. He was in a documentary named Eyes on the Prize, and I think this really ate him up over the years. As it's revealed he did commit suicide. But I think this is the problem, that they use us. They don't care about us to a certain degree. I'm not trying to get into a whole racial discussion, but this situation here, they didn't care about Anthony. I don't know why I keep on calling him Anthony. William O'Neill. They don't care about him. They want to use him as an informant, but at the end of the day, he was feeling conflicted in his own because he's like, this is my people's, I don't want them to be, I don't want anything to happen to them. I'm just trying to help y'all out. I'm just trying to, but he's being used like we get used sometime. Like, it is what it is. They want to dismantle, whenever they try and dismantle something that we're trying to do, they're going to use another brother or another sister to dismantle us. They're not going to come in looking obvious, but like I said, the conflicts between the FBI, the cops, and the movement were very real. This has happened in real life, obviously, and unfortunately, the things that are happening today in our world with the black and white or the racial tension that's going on is real today as it was 50 years ago in the 60s, unfortunately. But like I said, the movie illustrated the revolutionary movement being very, very detailed, the lessons, the message that he displayed as a socialist. He really, the Black Panthers had they had a plan. They had a set goal. They had a mission statement. They weren't just upset all the time. They had an office. They had a organization who feeds kids to this day. So like I said, this movie really displays a really multi-dimensional picture of what was going on back then, and not just telling you one side of the story. It's telling you the side of the story from the side of the cops, the side of the FBI, who used William O'Neill as an informant, and it gives you the side from his perspective as well, and it gives you the side from from revolutionaries' perspective. So I really, from Fred Hampton's perspective, he had a family, he had people on his side. There are people's lives who were affected, who were a part of the movement, and I appreciate the fact that, like I said, this movie was very detailed in the storytelling. Even though it was a real story, obviously, we are looking at this through the eyes of many people, and unfortunately, it can happen today. Obviously, the Panthers are not who they were from back then, but I appreciate that this is much more realistic than movies like Panther from the 90s with Kadeem Harrison, and the Panthers were very one-dimensional. It was a good movie for its time, but the Panther movie back in the day was okay for what it was, but it didn't really delve into the details and the different pieces of history that we need to know about the Panther movement. I mean, that was the Los Angeles version with Huey Newton and everything, but we got to see a different side of this thing. Like, there can be so many different levels of the Panthers that we need to know about. There's many documentaries that we need to look at, because I think history, or I think Hollywood, likes to paint them as just this militant group of angry black people who want to kill and dismantle the government. Well, no, the government saw them as a threat first, as people who wanted to be independent. They want to take care of their families. They want to take care of their own without the help of welfare or the government. Whenever we try to do something on our own, the government wants to dismantle it because they look at us as a threat, as if we will take over something. Read your history books. We invented most of the things that are good, or that are very high tech, or we invented most of the things that are prominent in this society, but it's been credited by Anglo-Saxons or by other people. I don't want to get into that right now, but it's just the truth. So we are very talented people who can create, who can invent, and who can take care of ourselves. We just are trying to reclaim those things because we know that we used to own everything and we made everything. So that's why I think the Black Panthers were trying to do. They were trying to reclaim what they lost. They were trying to reclaim. Now, I'm not trying to justify the Black Panther. I'm not here to represent the Black Panther movement. I'm just, looking at it from an angle as a black man. I'm trying to, just to understand that this movie really painted them in a detailed light, saying, look, they had their rights to do what they did, and they wanted to make sure that their people were taken care of, as well as other people from other races who are also going through the same thing. So for that part, Fred Hampton, like I said, Daniel did a good job of portraying Fred Hampton, who was a revolutionary figure in the Chicago chapter of the Black Panther movement. He did a good job of the struggles that he went through, of his relationships, of, just being a very vocal piece, having to go to jail, having to go through discrimination and persecution And that, look, this is not a glamorous thing here. The Black Panther movement was a very violent, things were happening that were very violent during this time, in the 60s. And if you were ever involved in these kind of things, or if you were ever involved as a revolutionary, then you went through a lot of violence, you went through a lot of hurt, and you had to put your life on the line every day. And everybody can't do that. Kids today don't understand the true, the fear of putting your life on the line every single day just to take a stand. My father went to jail back in the 60s for wanting to march in a certain area, and he was a part of a group that was revolutionary. But he had to go to jail. I mean, you can get arrested and go to jail for standing up for what you believe in. This is these are dangerous things that we look at it in movies through a small microscope, but don't understand the full scope of it. And I think that's really what this movie just really tells you, is that, look, these people put their lives on the line. They were shot, they were killed, they were put in jail. And although now we look at the Panther movement as something that we're proud of, or that we really look at from a history standpoint, these people were dying every day. They were getting killed. Their families were getting harassed. Their families were getting beat up and killed because they had relatives that were Panthers. So this was a very unique film because, like I said, it really gave you the whole perspective of what it was like in the revolutionary period of the 60s. So I really appreciate this movie and how it just detailed everything in perspective. And like I said, at the end of the day, they used William O'Neill. They used him, and they had nothing to hide. The FBI wanted to get rid of us. They wanted to get rid of the Panther movement. They wanted to get rid of anything that was intimidating or threatening to the government. They wanted to dismember it. So with that being said, like I said, this movie was very, very well laid out. I appreciate the historical content. I appreciate and a thing too about the movie that I also appreciate, that there was a connection to Emmett Till. Yeah, this has been another awesome episode of The Movie Wire. I'll see you later. Take care. Peace.